Hey, my name is Liam, and this is my hobby room. Welcome back everybody to my airbrushing course for beginners brought to you by BC Hobbies. Today we're going to talk about the most important part about owning an airbrush, and that is cleaning your airbrush. Cleaning your airbrush is so vital that I thought about putting this episode first in the series, but I think it does benefit from a general buildup of foundational knowledge that you learn across this series, so that's why it's here. Now, there is a common misconception that spraying some thinner or cleaner through your airbrush will effectively clean it, and this is false. We are going to learn how to clean an airbrush properly together coming up. Understanding the properties of the paint that you're using is your secret weapon to learning how to properly clean your airbrush. So what we learned in episode 2 is going to be really important here. A handy tip is to get a good long bristled brush that you use exclusively for cleaning your airbrush. Using this brush, you can apply thinner and cleaner to dirty threads and hard to reach areas once your O-rings have been removed. A brush is better than a cotton swab for the internal mechanisms of your airbrush because of the fibers cotton swabs can leave behind when they snag on something. But what kind of cleaners are you going to be using on your airbrush? It's time to talk about the difference between thinners and cleaners. Thinners and cleaners are two different agents. Paint thinners do what they say on the tin. Cleaners break down paint so it's easier to remove. It's important that you don't thin your paint with a cleaner. However, if you're using solvent-based paint, you can clean your brush with lacquer thinner. Remember what type of paint you're using and what thinners and cleaners it requires. I'll expand on this now. If you're using water-soluble acrylic paint, then you can use an acrylic cleaner as long as the paint is still wet inside your airbrush. If your paint is dry, it's much more efficient to use isopropyl alcohol. If you're using solvent-based paints, you can use the appropriate solvent-based cleaner for this task, or you can use lacquer thinner. It is the most caustic and aggressive thinner, and it's going to break all that down very easily. However, lacquer thinner is incredibly toxic, so you're going to want to make sure that you're wearing your dual cartridge respirator, you've got your gloves and eye protection on, and that your spray booth's extractor fan is also on while you're doing this. It's also important to never leave anything submerged in lacquer thinner for more than a few minutes, and also remember never to put lacquer thinner on your airbrush's O-rings. Now, there are two types of airbrush cleaning jobs that I'm going to go over in this video: a working clean and a full disassembly clean. A working clean is a quick cleaning routine that I do between colors and when I'm experiencing tip dry. To perform a working clean, first empty your color cup. Now fill it 1/4 of the way with the appropriate cleaner for the paint type that you're using. Now create a backflow and percolate what's inside the color cup by using the method we learned in episode 2. Now you can spray the cleaner out. However, if it's quite dirty, I recommend just dumping it into whatever cup you're using to dispose of your extra paint thinner and cleaner. You can always soak that up with a paper towel and chuck it in the garbage when you're done. The next step of a working clean is to unscrew your needle chuck and gently slide your needle back just a little bit, and then screw your needle chuck back on. Now pour some more of the appropriate cleaner inside of your airbrush color cup and do the same backflow and percolate. Now this time, because the airflow is going to be coming back through the color cup much more aggressively, it's going to bubble quite a bit. So make sure that any painted model parts are clear of the area and you've got your gloves and eye protection on. And now spray this mixture out of the tip of your airbrush. Gently clean off the tip of your airbrush needle and the inside of your nozzle cap with a cotton swab mixed with a bit of cleaner, and reseat your needle. And that's a working clean. It's actually really fast once you get used to doing it. Now, when you're done painting for the day or you're finished painting for the weekend, it's time to do something called a full disassembly clean. This is especially important if you're just getting started with airbrushing, because you're going to want to familiarize yourself with this type of technique, as well as how your airbrush breaks down and reassembles. Make sure to reference the exploded view inside of your airbrush manual or on your airbrush manufacturer's website. That's really helpful here. I also recommend using a small tray or paint cup to put any of the small pieces and your O-rings in so you don't lose them. For a full disassembly clean, until you have a pretty good idea of how your airbrush breaks down and reassembles, I think it's very useful to lay things out on a cloth relevant to how they go back together. Just like this. Be especially careful when you remove and reseat your airbrush nozzle and needle. You're going to want to do that very gently. Piece by piece, gently brush your cleaner onto your airbrush components. Using the bristles of your cleaning brush, wipe away any of the paint residue left behind from your session. As long as you're doing a full disassembly and clean after each session, you won't have any excessive paint buildup, and this step won't take very long. I recommend soaking especially dirty parts for a few minutes in cleaner, but no longer than that. Again, this is actually very simple to do once you get used to taking your airbrush apart and putting it back together, which you should be able to do. Next up comes an inspection. After you finish cleaning your airbrush, take a close look at the components before you reassemble it. If there's dried paint anywhere, it's not clean. My colleagues and I have received a lot of broken airbrushes at BC Hobbies, and 99% of the time it's because the airbrush hasn't been cleaned thoroughly. When you're completely finished cleaning, wipe away any of the excess cleaner and paint with a paper towel and then begin reassembling your airbrush. Make sure to carefully slide your O-rings back into place. On any of the threaded areas of your airbrush chassis, apply a very, very small amount of airbrush lubricant. Then finish reassembling your airbrush as your manufacturer's exploded view directs you. Anytime you sit down to use your airbrush, it should perform as if it was its first day out of the factory. By familiarizing yourself with the disassembly and reassembly of your airbrush and performing thorough full disassembly cleans after each painting session, you'll ensure that your airbrush lasts you for the rest of your life. Now, there are some common issues that arise and get in the way of painting, and these are all good indicators that your airbrush is in need of a full disassembly clean, or at least a spot clean or working clean. I didn't mention this before, but I refer to a spot clean as just disassembling one segment of your airbrush and cleaning it thoroughly. Let's take a look at some of these common issues together and how to clean them. Number 1, paint spatter. Paint spatter is a very common issue while spraying, and it means your nozzle is partially clogged. Semi-cured paint tends to clump up, especially water-soluble acrylics. The easiest way to deal with this is to empty your color cup, clean your color cup with the backflow and percolating technique that you learned, and then disassemble and clean your nozzle as if you were performing a full disassembly, but just on your nozzle area. Make sure to do this with a cleaner and not a thinner, unless you're using lacquer thinner. In that case, that's going to dissolve pretty much everything over time. The next issue is constant airflow. If your airbrush is constantly spraying air, if you hear that hiss and you're not depressing the trigger, it means your air valve is stuck. This happens if paint is allowed to flow past the packing assembly and into the air valve. Generally, paint should never be anywhere but inside your airbrush's color cup and spraying channel, but since it flows along your airbrush needle, which is semi-mobile, it can accidentally end up in places that it shouldn't. This is a very good indicator that it's time for a full disassembly and clean. Something I don't usually include in my full disassembly and clean is my air valve assembly, and that's because I'm very meticulous about keeping it clean. In this instance, you're going to want to unscrew it and very carefully take out the components. There is a spring in there which keeps your trigger popping back up and keeping the air valve closed when it needs to be closed. That spring might, well, spring out, so be careful when you're taking it apart that it doesn't just shoot across your room and you lose it. Conversely to the constant airflow problem is no airflow. If no air is coming out of the nozzle of your airbrush, then listen for the telltale hiss of the air valve. If you hear that, then there's a blockage between the air valve and the nozzle. If you don't hear the hiss, then there's a problem with the air valve itself. That could be anything from a broken spring to a cleaning issue like we mentioned in the constant airflow problem. Again, your best bet is to disassemble and fully clean your airbrush, including your air valve assembly. Once you take that apart, you'll clearly notice if your spring is broken. Another common issue are sticking or stuck components. Your airbrush should be spotless at all times unless you're using it. Every mechanism should move fluidly with no resistance. Every component should also be easy to unscrew and disassemble, like your nozzle cap, your packing assembly, your needle chuck, and it should be easy to pull your needle out of your airbrush too. Now, if there's any part of your airbrush that doesn't unscrew easily or it feels like it's sticking in some places, it's time to clean your airbrush. And lastly, revisiting a very common issue, tip dry. Occasionally, paint will dry on the end of your airbrush needle and inside the nozzle cap. This is especially true if you're painting with water-soluble acrylics, which tend to dry faster. When this happens, you'll notice inconsistency in your spray pattern or paint spattering. To fix this, put the appropriate paint thinner for your paint type on a cotton swab and very gently wipe away the dried paint on the tip of your needle and on the inside of your nozzle cap. Making sure that your airbrush is clean and mitigating or avoiding the issues I just listed are the best ways to ensuring a smooth painting experience. I answer a lot of airbrush related questions at work, and most of them are related to cleaning. And look, there's no judgment here, it's just an opportunity to learn how to maintain your tools better. This is all part of the learning curve of getting into airbrushing, and pretty soon you'll have a really great handle on doing this and you won't even be thinking about it. Airbrushing is the best way to augment your plastic modeling hobby. It allows you to take your skills much further, learn new ones, and create models that are next level gorgeous. Airbrushes and air compressors are expensive tools, and maintaining them and making sure they're working optimally will make sure they last you for your entire lifetime. Together, we've learned a whole bunch of stuff. We've learned all of the tools and supplies that are needed for airbrushing. We learned about the different types of paint, how to thin them, how to clean them. We learned about how to control your airbrush, what your airbrush is made up of, how to disassemble it and clean it. These are the foundational building blocks of using an airbrush, but they are just the start of your airbrushing journey. The best way to learn and get better at this stuff is just to practice. There are some advanced techniques I didn't go over in this series. There are also different types of airbrushes I didn't approach in this series. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but these are the absolute basics, and I think this is the best entry point for you as a beginner to airbrushing. Remember the motto that I mentioned back in episode whatever? I don't remember when I mentioned it, but I do remember I said it, unless I didn't. In that case, I'm gonna say it now. Practice makes proficiency. The more you do this stuff, the better you're gonna get at it. The more you clean your airbrush, the better your airbrush will perform, and the less you'll even think about it. It'll just be something you do. I've tried to keep these videos as short and to the point as possible to make sure they're very easy to reference. But if you're stuck on something, make sure to ask your local hobby shop. We're here to help. We genuinely just want to make sure you get the most out of your hobby. After all, this is your time for yourself to enjoy, to relax, to zen out and get into a flow state. If I've helped you just a little bit, then I've done my job and I'm happy to be a part of your learning journey. So thank you so much for watching. This wraps up my airbrush course for beginners. Read the show notes in the description below to find links to all of the products I mentioned in these videos. And tag us on Instagram at BC Hobbies if you paint something really cool and you want to show it off. Until then, happy painting, and I'll see you next time on Liam's Hobby Room.